It had been several weeks since the last outlier trial, and the people had gotten bored. Which was why, when Wren headed for the defendant's chair, dozens were jockeying to get a seat in the courtroom before it was filled to capacity. Adonis pushed up onto the balls of his feet to look over the mass at the door and spotted a corner seat far off to the side at the front. He shouldered through the crowd, sperming his way to the corner seat and snagging it out from under a man in a gray jumpsuit who was clearly on break from public waste collection. He reeked of hot rot. He reached down to grab Adonis's shirt front. Adonis lifted his wrist to him and pulled back his sleeve to show his black ID bracelet. "I'm with the body that brought in this prisoner. I have to attend this trial for our, records." The man grumbled, shoved his hands in his jumpsuit pockets, and turned to retreat up the stairs, taking his stink with him. Adonis adjusted his rear end against the hard seat in victory. "Liar," said someone near his ear. He jumped and turned to see Sans sitting directly behind him. "I hate it when you do that." "I know," said the thief, who held out Adonis's money pouch, dangling it from his fingertips casually. "Damn it!" said Adonis as he reached back to snatch it from the thief. "Got me again." Sans didn't chuckle or smirk, not like Six, who would have taunted Adonis for not being aware of his surroundings. Adonis liked to think that Sans had once had a sense of humor, but that they'd surgically removed it when they changed his face to turn him into a thief. "Big turnout," said Adonis. Sans nodded and looked toward the judge. Adonis turned his attention to the trial. From this angle, he could just see Wren's profile through the security net as she sat across from the judge. The beats of a trial never changed. The judge asked for basic information such as name, place of origin, reason for living outside of decent society, etc. Then would come the specific questions related to the outlier's crime, which was typically assault or theft. Finally, there would be a ruling based on their responses. The rulings weren't very creative, as there were only two outcomes for outliers: imprisonment or death. But that wasn't why people attended the trials. They watched the defendants like they were mythical creatures, unicorns or chupacabras brought into the real world for exhibition. They weren't quite that enchanting to Adonis, as he'd spent most of his life in the open before Sans picked him up from slave traders a couple years prior. Picked him up didn't quite cover what had happened. Sans had saved him. Adonis once asked Sans why he'd gone to the trouble. He had yet to receive an answer, but Sans had his unfailing loyalty for life nonetheless. So did Gavel, who had welcomed him into their body. So did Castor, who had taken him under his wing and taught him how to fight. Six could go screw himself. Even though he'd only been in the disc for a couple of years, he felt like one of them, a member of society. He liked it that way. But he loved going to the trials because he knew personally how outrageous outliers could be. Something about the sun cooking their brains, maybe. If nothing else, they were entertaining to watch.
Sub to Casper the Friendly Ghost for good vibes and a sea of friends! Yeah!